I'll go ahead and call the Finance Committee meeting to order for May the 17th. So if you'll call roll, Mr. Forget.
Mr. Jones,
Here,
Mr. Gwaltney,
and he's on his way.
Mr. Alderman, Mrs. Smith, and Mr. Hardin.
Here.
Okay, Mrs. Smith is on Zoom. Can you say here?
Hang on, Barry.
You can hear? Oh, you can. Okay, okay. I'll take your word for it, Mayor. She's on the line. Okay, now there you go. Okay, wonderful. We are hanging on to a quorum by a thread. But as I mentioned, Mr. Gwaltney's on his way. Should be here shortly. But we do have a lot to cover tonight, so I thought I would go ahead and start the meeting. Is there a motion to dispense with the reading from the meeting of May the 3rd and approve it as distributed?
So moved.
Okay, moved by Mr. Hardin. Is there a second? Okay, second by Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Hear you loud and clear, perfectly. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion, comments? All in favor say aye.
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 Okay, all opposed by the same sign. That passes 3-0. Thank you for that. We'll move through this from the top, and we do have a few gentlemen here who are going to speak to us and bring us some really good news and good information. So let's start at the top. 1601-15, update on past, present, and future sidewalk projects. I do not have anything new on this, but there will be some more upcoming. Were there any questions on anything with this? Okay, we'll carry it over without objection. But stay tuned, there'll be more information coming on this. 250417, request for consideration of 18th Street revitalization project. I don't have anything new on this one either tonight. Does anyone have any questions? We're moving along on things, but I do not have any additional information unless you feel like we need to handle anything through executive session.
I don't think so.
No, there's two items that will, one is the Barber easement. I think we put that somewhere on.
Yeah, it's on.
Yeah, that's
it's
the
on
last
finance
item on the
tonight.
agenda. Yep.
Okay, that will need to be approved, or can be approved at the next.
Okay.
meeting.
Okay.
And I also have, I want to say this, I have an agreement with Ed's Pet Road, subject to us getting title insurance, which the title company is committed to do because it's being signed by a power of attorney, and I want to be totally comfortable, so it's a minimal cost, it's a protection for the city. And I should have all that ready for you by Monday at the latest. It's supposed to be
Wonderful.
signed tomorrow.
And if you don't mind, Keith, if you don't mind coming up, I just want to touch base with you. I'm kind of like Mr. Kendrick. I'm a little scared to actually talk about this for fear that the rug will come out from under us. But we seem to be nearing, hopefully, the end of this stage where we've gotten the TCEs, and I know we've still got some to get.
The only one left that I'm aware of, that I've been assigned, is the post office.
Yes.
It's been approved locally by the postmaster, it's been approved by Mr. Baker in Jacksonville, the design. And I received this afternoon a list from a gentleman from Washington that handles all the easements for post office around the country. He's got a list of criteria which includes construction drawings and things of that nature that I can keep because it's gonna have to come from different.
Okay.
So we're at the top level, but
Got it.
where that is and how long that will take, I'm not able to tell you today. Hopefully depending on when we respond this week, or as soon as Keith tells me that's feasible, then I will be able to give you a better report.
Okay.
Mr. Kendrick, was there anything on his list that we can't comply with that you saw?
No, it's construction drawings, a narrative about the scheduling of the work. I've already given that to Baker, and he's been copied on everything, but
Okay.
he acts like he's not aware of it. But there are some things that are from phasing of the job, things like that. I mean,
Okay.
Okay.
it's bureaucratic.
And so that was sort of my question for Keith was, assuming that all this stays on course, these last few properties, is there anything you need us to be doing to get to the next stage after that?
The right-of-way was the biggest thing, obviously I needed the city's assistance with. The plans are complete, Aldot's reviewed them multiple times, I do not expect any issues there. Once we finish right-of-way acquisition, I can write a right-of-way certificate, send that to the state. They'll do a final review of the plans, and I'm sure I'll get a couple of small comments there, but nothing we can't turn around quickly.
Okay.
So everything is still hinging on the right-of-way.
Okay. All right.
I've told the post office they're the last one, and that we're anxious to get a bid, and we can't bid it until we have their easement. So,
Whatever good that does.
pushing it as hard as we can. We've gotten, I don't think there's a question about the plan design based on Baker's or local postmaster,
Okay.
but this is
Okay.
the next step in the broadcast.
Okay.
We just got that this afternoon.
All right. Thank you both very much.
Okay.
Okay, let's go ahead, so we'll carry this over, without objection. And then let's go ahead and just take 110521 while we're on the subject. Request to authorize the mayor to sign temporary construction easement at Barber Properties. That's really what you've requested, so we just.
Barber and Ed's Pitwell.
Okay, so let's, so a proper motion would be to authorize the mayor to sign temporary construction easement at Barber Properties and Ed's Pet World.
So moved.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
Mrs. Smith, second by Mr. Harden. Any other questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All
Aye.
opposed? All opposed by the same sign. That passes 3-0. Thank you. Okay, and next item, we'll go back up to 020521. And this is kind of exciting to me, this information. It's a request to hear energy savings presentation from Train for City Hall building, brought to us by Councilor Smith and Mr. Squires. And we have a couple gentlemen from Train who are here, that are gonna present to us, but I'll let you take it away here.
Okay. Dan Chabot and Duncan Asbury are here. If most of y'all, I know you guys that just came on board, I think it was about 3 years ago, Dan. We looked at this kind of across the board with the city, and one of the main issues, of course, was City Hall and its age and, you know, the chiller and things like that. So Dan and them reached out to Ms. Smith and I about a month and a half ago to kind of relook. I think we all agreed that City Hall was the main culprit in this thing we wanted to look at. So I'll ask you, Dr. Jones, if you will. They've got about probably 15 minutes. They're just going to kind of hit some high points, but I would ask you if you would to let's carry this over to the next committee meeting, and in between we can answer any questions. And I think Ms. Smith and I are going to kind of get with everybody and kind of talk about any questions you may have from the information that they'll provide, and we'll send everything to you. So if you don't mind, if you can give them about 10 or 15 minutes, that'd be
That'd be fine.
Thank you. Dan, you want to come up?
And I'll preface everything with, I think all of it is going to be good news, because we are in an inefficient building in terms of the chiller and how things are operating now. So I think this is gonna be exciting after we review everything. Thank you. And Mrs. Smith, was there anything you wanted to say before they started?
Really just what Berkeley said is the case. You know, we worked on this several years ago, and it was more of a citywide project that we were looking at. And then when Duncan reached back out about 2 months ago, it became clear that we needed to focus, be a little bit more focused in our approach. So we did target City Hall. As they're going to tell y'all in a second, pretty much everything about City Hall is inefficient. Our control system, our chiller that is at the end of its lifespan. There's a lot that could be improved and a lot that would save us money. So I'm just excited about the opportunity, and we'll turn it over to Dan and Duncan to give y'all the information. And
I'll just say real fast, I appointed Mrs. Smith to this committee to do the work, so I appreciate that. So thank you for all the work you've done on it, but go ahead.
Sure.
Good deal. Members of the council, thank you all very much for your time this evening. I'm Duncan Asbury with Train, and like we said, here to talk about an energy performance contract for City of Homewood, more specifically for City Hall itself. In the interest of time, I want to leave a little bit for questions at the end. I know there will probably be some, so we'll go ahead and dive in. Next slide, please, agenda. So quick housekeeping items. Going to do a brief introduction to who we have here from Train tonight, talk about the purpose of the presentation, what that four-letter acronym ESCO means, what is performance contracting, talk about the scope of the project for City Hall, review cash flow, talk about why performance contracting as a procurement tool for municipalities can make some sense, and where Train fits in that and the value that we bring in that arena. So, and then obviously questions at the end. But next slide, please. So like I said, I'm Duncan Asbury, account manager with Train here in Birmingham. Also with us, we have Dan Chabot, who's a project developer with Train, Jonathan Stewart, who's a project developer with Train as well, and then Stan Kirkley, who's the contracting manager for Alabama area. And everybody's out of Birmingham here. So purpose of the presentation, sorry, next slide, please. Purpose of the presentation, a lot of words on this slide. Really, there's just a couple main things we want to hit on here. We want to, like I said, define what an ESCO is, give an understanding of what performance contracting is. We want to more accurately define the scope or what's involved in the project. And then lastly, we want to talk about why performance contracting is beneficial for municipalities and where the value is that Train brings there. So next slide, please. So what is an ESCO? What is performance contracting? So when I say ESCO, that's an acronym for Energy Services Company, which Train is, and ESCOs execute performance contracting projects. And really, what that is you're implementing an energy saving measure, an energy saving project, and with the utility savings that those measures, when implemented, yield, will help pull through other infrastructure improvements or equipment improvements that need to be made. So the way that works is the ESCO will guarantee the energy savings that help pay for the additional infrastructure or equipment upgrades. And then typically a performance contract for municipalities done via a tax exempt bond. So it's no upfront money, no capital or impacts on the capital budget, comes right out of the operating budget, and it's able to cover it in that way. So next slide, please. When we talk about infrastructure improvements or equipment upgrades, obviously for a building of this size, you got to think that low cost is probably not the first phrase that comes to mind. So we're talking, a considerable amount of money in most cases. So one question, or I guess first question that comes up, how much are we talking? What is the total amount? And then two, where does the money come from? How does that play out when the rubber meets the road? So 1.75 million, as you see in the heading of this slide, is the ballpark we're in for this project at the moment. That answers question one. Question two, how does it make sense? So we'll take a step back again and look at how a performance contract kind of plays out. We typically pull from three buckets. So you'll have gas costs, electric costs, water and sewer costs. Those will combine and create the savings that are going to help the project cash flow, help it make sense to pull in those other upgrades that are costly. For this building's particular case, the electric costs are actually going to provide all the benefit, all the savings to help the project cash flow and make sense. So on the far right side, if y'all can see in the slides, the current utilities spend for City Hall in particular, $280,000 per year, or about $4.50 a square foot per year. And if you see the italicized bullet under that, An average building of same size, function, you know, municipal office building in the southeast hovers around $2 a square foot per year. So you can see, you know, more than double really the annual energy spend in the building. So that delta is what's going to fuel, you know, the savings to help pull through other infrastructure upgrades that we're going to go through. Dan's going to go through in subsequent slides. So I know that was kind of that was pretty quick and kind of high level, but I'm going to turn it over to Dan now, and he'll go into more of the particulars of the cash flow and the scope of the project. Thank you all.
Thank you. Dan Shabo with Train. Members of the council, thank you for your time this evening. So, let's see, this is our scope slide. So Duncan mentioned earlier what's needed at City Hall. We've worked for the last, actually as Berkeley alluded, the last 3 years off and on this opportunity. And, you know, it's a disadvantage, obviously, to take so long to reach this point, but also an advantage in that I feel that we have a really good understanding in working with Berkeley and Lee Garrett and just spending a lot of time in this building as to what is needed scope-wise. And so one of the cornerstones to provide savings is the LED lighting retrofit. Most of your newer buildings you're seeing now in Birmingham and other municipalities are LED throughout. You have a little bit of LED here, and you also have the parking deck, which you've invested in LED solutions. But we propose to complete a thorough LED upgrade. But really the cornerstone of the proposed project is mechanical and controls. It's where we would replace the chiller, and we would employ a high efficiency quiet chiller. How many of you heard the chiller on every time you come to a meeting? You hear.
What are you saying? I can't hear you. Sorry.
It's on the rooftop, and you know, next door you have the condominiums, and we've spent a good bit of time on the roof, and it's pretty amazing that maybe they have good glass, but it's quite loud, and your chiller's about 50 feet, 75 feet away from some of the nearest glass, the residential facility there. And we took Lee actually to visit the type of model we're proposing, but it is truly I'll say a little bit of an exaggeration, but a whisper quiet chiller. It's a great application for your rooftop here. And there's four other pieces of HVAC equipment that we've included that we, along with Lee, have assessed and feel are at the end of the service life. We have included the two really primary indoor environmental quality solutions that technology has led us to employ today. UV lighting, which has been around a long time. We propose to employ that high intensity UV in your air handling units to disinfect bacterial and viral contaminants that circulate with the air system, as well as bipolar ionization. So we felt like you would want that, members of the council would want that in your key building, considering where we've been the last 12 months. It's a good consideration. And then finally, we take the full responsibility for design and build and then commissioning of the improvements. So next slide, please. You could load the cash flow sheet, I think, or maybe load it, and then this takes an electron microscope, I think, to read. Thank you. There you go. Appreciate that. So at the top left, that's the 1.75 million, 1.746 million that we alluded to. And then if you look below under year one, the savings, the value of the energy savings, the energy cost avoidance is about $157,000. That's significant for a building of this size. Normally we didn't just guess at those numbers. We ran what's called a train trace energy model using your building input data. And normally I'm not the one, normally one of our energy engineers does it, but I actually did this building, and I feel very confident in we ultimately, we measure and verify and guarantee those numbers, over the course of the term that you select.
Tell me again how much you just said we were gonna save
157,000 is the first year
a year.
trace model savings.
And let the record reflect that Mr. Gwaltney is now here. Thank you.
So, like I say, we use a measurement and verification plan to actually validate those savings. And with any ESCO in the state of Alabama, the way we're governed, if there's a shortfall, we have to make the customer whole for the shortfall that is below the guarantee level. And at the end of the day, one of the key components, that again, it's a little bit hard to see, but you'll see a 2.50%. I actually did check. You guys have done a great job, of course, with your credit facilities here, and the current rates are just historically low. If you chose to do a tax-exempt municipal lease today, you'd be sitting between 2.35 and 2.4 over 12 years. It's just crazy low. I've been in this business 35 years, and I've never witnessed or encountered anything like it. At the end of the day, what the cash flow sheet demonstrates is if you chose that route of procurement through guaranteed utility cost reduction, the project would pay for itself over the 12-year term. So next slide, please. Back to the away from PDF. So just a couple maybe important points. I know this is a lot of information in a short period of time, but and we've saved the end for whatever questions Mr. Jones, any of the council members would have. But the advantage that you have if you do exercise a energy performance contract as your procurement vehicle, you get the guaranteed energy savings that we've mentioned, and I think that's important when you are really seeking value over a longer period of term, not just on the front end, what you get out of the gate. I think what's said in red really tells a big story. Ms. Smith and I and Mr. Squires, we spent a good bit of time accruing utility bills over the last 3 years for this building. And Ms. Smith suggested, maybe lay this out monthly. We normally present annual costs, but what's interesting about this building is the average utility bill here is $23,000 a month. It has been for the last three years going back.
Is that for electricity?
It's an all-electric building, with the exception, of course, you do have water and sewer costs as well, in addition to that.
How many square feet is this building?
It's 70,000 square feet. So it's actually, 61,000 square feet. So you're gonna be up over $4 a square foot.
Wow.
It's, like I say, it's pretty high compared to the Southeast average municipal building of its size.
Double of a typical commercial building, over double.
Yes, sir. So we propose to get that utility bill down to $10,000 a month, slightly less, which would bring you back to that where you would expect this building to be. And I must say, in defense of the building and those who operate it, the control system has put the city in a disadvantageous place here with the control system, the obsolescence of this control system, and the deterioration, I guess, of the technology over time has been a little faster than we would have hoped for. But we are proposing a state-of-the-art new control system, which would enable the staff to operate the building in an efficient manner, in a manner that will bring occupant comfort to a high level as well. And finally, I think the last bullet, if you did exercise a tax-exempt lease, your capital funds would be used to do the things you normally do, whether it be pave roads, paint buildings, carpet, the things you normally do with your capital. This would allow you to take money that you're already spending. You're already spending that money today. You're sending that money to Alabama Power Company. And it would enable you to shift that money instead to making the building improvements here. And I believe we switch to the next slide. So again, we talked about if you'll switch to the, next slide, please, I'm sorry, or this, okay, I'm sorry, previous one, right, my bad. So why, why are we, why would you prefer perhaps to work with us in an opportunity like this? Many of you are aware, we did a similar project, except on a much grander scale, with the city of Birmingham about, we finished that project a little over 3 years ago. It's in the performance stage. It was 61 million, involving about 100 or so buildings, many of them this size, larger. City Hall is one of them in Birmingham. So we had a little over 100 buildings there that we employed similar solutions for. And so far, the success has been really good. Again, we talked about guaranteed energy savings. One of the things that I mentioned earlier was the fact that we commission the improvements, and we do use a third party to represent not only us, but to represent you. Third party separate from trying to say, okay, let's test this, let's test this system, let's test this control, and documenting any deficiencies that may occur so that we can correct them. So finally, if you'll switch to the next slide, please. Where are we today versus, where have we been? Berkeley mentioned we've been working on this 3 years. We did do a lot of the development back in 18, and we hit a stall point, and we're back today to propose to complete the development. And if the council sees fit in moving forward, really all that's left on our part, since we've done so much of the engineering, is to just finalize the documentation we have, as well as contracts. And again, subject to your timeline and your blessing, we would be ready to move forward midsummer. So I guess we just open up the floor to questions you guys may have.
Hold on a second. Mr. Gwaltney, did you get a copy of the presentation? Okay, if we can get Mr. Gwaltney a copy, it'd be great. Go ahead, Mr. Harden.
The chiller you're putting in, how large is that chiller?
It's 185, is it? 180? 180 tons of cooling capacity, slightly, not much, larger than the one you have today.
What's the lifespan of it?
So ASHRAE, who is not trained, the independent body, projects that the lifespan of the air-cooled chiller to be 20 to 23 years. We believe longer than that, but I gave you the industry rating.
Is that a trained chiller?
Yes, sir, it'd be a trained chiller. It's our train, if you want to look it up tonight, it's good reading material by the bedside. It's our train ACR chiller. It's a SIN chiller. It's really neat, the documentation that's out there on the web on it.
Get on that, John.
Yeah, I'll be right on that. So, just looking at all this, does the, it's a break even, looking at the numbers you're talking about, Dan, is it, at the end of 12 years, we'll truly begin benefiting from this whole project, correct?
Yes, sir.
Because we're paying $155,000, that's the savings. It somehow neatly fits in there, but so real benefit to the city isn't for 12 years.
Well, actually, the benefit starts the day that the construction, the implementation is complete, because you have a quiet chiller, you have reliability already. As Berkeley will tell you, reliability's been the problem.
I know
Financially, I
about that.
see where you're going.
Yeah, but from
Yeah.
a financial standpoint, we're break even until 12 years. Okay?
Right.
Where do you think we could blow this budget?
Below the budget?
Yeah, I mean, sitting here today at 1.75 million, I mean, budgets get blown in construction a lot, but is everything to the point where?
Since we had the blessing, if you will, of starting this in 18, we were able to do the engineering and get pricing based on the engineering that was done. So what we would offer to do, if you decide to continue to move the process, is give you a firm fixed price, so that if there's slippage, it's on us, not on the city of Homewood.
Okay.
That's a great question, though.
All right. Yeah, this is a lot to review. I mean, I know that there, over the years, we have so many employees that have complained about being too hot, being too cold. We continue to cool Rosewood Hall when it's not in use. I mean, it's, and I don't know, just, I think we just have a lot of inefficiencies. So I think it's a good project. I think we just need to review it as a council, and then and we'll come back and make recommendations. And if we need to call you, can we get your card or something?
Yes.
Okay, all right, perfect.
Well,
Can I ask?
I
is there
did
anything-
have it before, I don't know where it is. Okay.
Is there anything we're not doing that you think, why, boy, if they did that, they should have done that, and 5 years from now, we're gonna go, why didn't we do that?
as far as what might not be included in this scope that could be, I don't think so as far as this building's concerned, because, you know, you look at the HVAC infrastructure, like the air handling units, the units that move the air through the building. This building's still not that old. It's, you know, the building is what, it's 17 years old in totality. So, a lot of your HVAC system is in good condition. We did survey the system. I mean, I'm not saying we did a full, what you would call facility condition analysis. We did a survey though of all the HVAC equipment. And the thing I'd like to close with in answering your question is that there, you know, you could come in and patchwork pieces of this project, but replace this control, replace that control. Maybe you get some occupant comfort, maybe you get a little bit of energy savings, but the rest of your control system would be in the condition, ultimately evolve to the condition it's in now. What we've proposed is a holistic new control system for all the HVAC system. So, one that Berkeley can pick up his phone, his handheld, from home, if y'all call and say, hey, the council, you know, it's hot here, there. He's got full access, and y'all have access.
I don't know if we wanna give him that
calling
much
him on a
control.
Sunday evening would be
That
a
might
great
too
time.
much control from Mr. Squire.
Mr. Kendrick, when we talk about tax-free bond work, there's always a lot of legal expense in that. Does that fall into this number here, or, I mean, if we create a tax-free bond, it'll be expensive to do, I would think.
Most municipalities, Mr. Harden, use a tax-exempt municipal lease rather than a bond. You're absolutely correct. We do have some of our customers, municipal customers, that have decided to exercise a GO bond to fund these projects. And as you say, the rates are good, but the costs tend to be higher. The tax-exempt municipal lease, I can actually share with you the last 10 cities we've done. Typically, the cost to develop that lease, the legal and total financial cost is between 0.5 and 0.7%, which is pretty low compared to what y'all are accustomed to with a GO bond. And we did include that in the cash flow sheet, so.
So no opinion?
Sir?
No tax exempt opinion?
As far as, you know, most of our municipalities, I think I see what you're asking. Every municipality,
Most vendors require the city to give you an opinion if it's tax exempt.
right,
Costs money.
right. In Birmingham, we had to get that legal opinion, and it did cost money, but,
Is that
you know.
in the cost?
No, not necessarily. I don't know how much that opinion would be, but, we did include what is a typical fee structure to exercise a tax exempt municipal lease.
How about your cost of maintenance? You require to guarantee the savings that we have a maintenance contract with you throughout the entire term.
If you choose, it's renewable annually, but I appreciate you asking that
But if
question.
we don't renew it, then you don't guarantee the savings.
That's the way the state law works. The law is that we have to provide measurement and verification. It provides it, we provide that along with the required maintenance to maintain the performance and the integrity of the equipment. But we did include, if you look in the, I know you need a magnifying
I haven't
glass.
looked at any of them.
I know.
Yeah, I can't read that.
I apologize.
Just email me.
We need a 36 by 48 drawing
So
for
back to
that.
the question, is the maintenance cost in the pro forma?
Yes, sir.
And any increases?
Yes, sir. 3% per annum is the guidance, and it is included. Those are, you've apparently been around performance contracts
Done it for
before.
you. I hadn't found him to be very.
I can sense that.
So you have a third-party monitor, is that cost in there also?
We have a third-party commissioning firm. That cost is in the cash flow. Yes, sir. So as you'll see, what Mr. Kendrick's referring to, the service costs for the chiller and for the control system is, I think the number's $23,000 per annum in the first year. It's included in the cash flow. So in other words, that cost works against the energy savings, but you're still net, as you said, Mr. Hard, net neutral after 12 years financially.
Are you guys doing a quarterly maintenance? When we do a maintenance contract with you, you come quarterly typically, I would say?
Yes, sir. What's proposed is both quarterly and annual, is both the maintenance as well as the measurement and verification. Yes, sir.
What's the warranty on that chiller? Because that's obviously gonna be the most expensive thing you deal with.
We included, our standard warranty, as is the case with our competitors, is 1 year. We included a 5-year full parts and labor, and I believe, and refrigerant, right? So it's our premium warranty. It is included in the cash flow. It is our most expensive chiller, to be honest with everyone, but again, if you want efficiency and you want quiet, it's a really good chiller.
And we're putting the chiller back up on the roof, same place.
Yes, sir, that's the proposal. And again, you will be very happy with the sound emissions, I can assure you that. And anyone that wants to see Birmingham Police Headquarters, a similar unit, will be happy to take the same trip that Mr. Garrett took. It's just unbelievably quiet.
Mr. Sims had a question back here.
Yes, thank you, Chairman Jones. My question was about, so in this presentation, it shows that we're currently spending $280,000 per year, and that this is going to save approximately $150,000. So we'd be paying $130,000 annually now on utility costs, and that does include water and sewer.
No, the 280 you're spending now
Is
on
just electric.
utilities is just electric.
Okay, I was just wanting to make sure, based off the one slide, it was a little unclear, so I just want to confirm. So this doesn't even scratch the surface of what we could be doing with water and sewer. Okay, thanks.
Correct, and that'll be a separate, go ahead.
No, I'm scratching my head.
Oh, so yeah, that's gonna be a separate initiative and something that Berkeley's been working on, and Barry. So that'd be a separate initiative, but there will be similar savings, not as large, but, I mean, I remember the whole, presentation. It was very interesting about flow regulators and all this kind of stuff, how you do save a tremendous amount of water by looking at that.
And the $2 per square foot for other municipal offices in the southeast, does that include water and sewer or just electric only?
That's actually the total, which would include water and sewer, but you know, in free disclosure, you get water from Birmingham Waterworks Board, and you pay Jefferson County Sewer Board through the BWWB for your sewer costs. Your combined rate right now is around $20 per kgal, which compared to the average, it's about a little less than half that. Yeah. So, you know, maybe you could say if you oppose those rates, they may be $220 or $225 a square foot if you oppose the rates you have. Good point.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for presenting this, and we'll let you know what next steps are then.
Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
All right. So we'll carry this over for action in our next meeting. Let me know other questions you have, and we'll make sure they get answered. So we'll carry that over without objection. 04/05/21 bid opening for June 7th for spring tree planting. So we'll carry that over pending the bid opening date. 08/05/21 request for consideration to join the Cobble Waste Authority, coming to us from the mayor and Mr. Squires.
Walter,
Yes.
sorry, now that Andy is there, I'm going to leave the meeting. I've been sitting in my car for the last
Okay,
hour
thank you.
or so. Y'all
You're
enjoy.
excused. Thank you for
Thank you.
filling in.
Thank you, Counselor
No
Smith.
problem. Thanks. Bye.
Okay.
Dr. Jones, mine's short and sweet. We've got a follow-up meeting, Mr. White and I are going to on Wednesday with, some of the other municipalities that are looking to do this. I think in total now there's around 8 or 9 cities that have engaged in this process. So there was some other questions and stuff and all for us to get answers to, and then probably at that time have Mr. Kendrick look over
The documents are fine.
yeah, with the documentation and stuff, just to make sure, but we've got some other things that we wanted to make sure we were clear on. So we'll be meeting with them Wednesday, so we'll have a follow-up, if you would
Okay.
carry that
So
over.
you carried over tonight?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
Thank you.
Carried over without objection. Okay, 090521 is our last item. Request to authorize the mayor to sign contract with Sane and Associates for engineering consulting work on the Mamie Foster 18th Street project. This was distributed today. As you recall, we have already expended the funds for done. This is for engineering consulting, and the cost for this, so a proper motion would be to expend up to $2,000, create it'd be a budget amendment coming out of bond proceeds to create that line item for engineering services for up to $2,000, and authorize the mayor to sign the contract with Sane and Associates. Did I get that right, Mr. Smith?
Right, this is for construction, engineering, and inspection.
Construction, engineering, and inspection.
That's correct.
Okay. CE&I, all right. Okay, so your request is to, we need to create a budget amendment. Do you know the number, Mr. Burgett? Do you have that? Let's see, you got it.
I know it's 2611 and the line item is.
Okay, here it is. It'd be 26-11-589145. So do we have any questions, or is there a motion so this expenditure is for?
I'll make a motion to expend up to $2,000 and create a budget amendment for number 26-11-58-145. Over the
9145, yep. Okay, we got it. Okay, that's been, and then also to authorize the mayor to sign the contract.
And I authorize the mayor to sign the contract with Sane Associates for the
Okay.
engineering consulting work on Mamie Foster.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Mr. Gwaltney. For some reason I knew it was gonna be you. Any questions on this? This is gonna be an exciting project. We're finally getting everything lined up here, so, any questions, for Mr. Smith on this? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed by the same sign, that passes 3-0. Okay, and I believe that is it unless someone has anything else. Okay, I apologize for going over, but we are now adjourned.